Good morning. It will get light in a second. Just on our way to our morning sessions, morning walk with the brolly. You can just about see that. We have Tai Chi this morning. We have Pilates from home, Pilates with Chloe, and then we have Tai Chi with Mark, which can be done at the studio or from home. Anyway, looks like the sun's come out. Not miserable, cold and wet, but let's not let the weather dictate how we feel for the rest of the day. So I wanted to talk about Spinderella, the hairy godmother, and perceptions about any foods really. So connected, right, we're back in. So let's take this is lessons from a bedtime story, by the way. So read a story last night, no, the night before it was, called Spinderella. If you've never read that, it's like Cinderella but with spiders, okay? Now, the spiders, they hang out above the lights in a kitchen, essentially. And Spinderella, you got Spinderella and, you know, their friends, and they often count their flies. Well, the Spinderella wants to count how many flies they have. And she says, look, how many flies do we have each? And then they say, don't worry, just keep going with it. Just go with it and eat them up, gobble them up. Then they play football, and there's one side that has more players than the other, and she says, shouldn't we have even numbers on the side? Shouldn't we count them? And they say, don't worry, we'll just play down with numbers, whatever. Now anyway, then the hairy godmother comes, and the hairy godmother essentially teaches her how to count. And then she learns a lot, and everyone has even numbers in the football, they have better fun in there, etc. You get the point. It's quite funny animations. So my point in this though is that you learn the importance of knowing numbers, which overcome beliefs and feelings, which then override our decisions. And this is something that happens a lot in nutrition, when people actually track their food for 2 to 3 days, or even look at a meal plan that's done for you for 2 to 3 days, like we do. So we have loads of done for you meal plans. We've got a brand new app and meal plans coming out this week, a vegan, vegetarian. And the reason it's so good is because you can quickly see the right portions of food, whether you use a hand size guide or whether you just track your food using a calorie app or something like that, just for a few days. I'm not saying do this forever because it can be quite laborious, but you do it for a few days. You know, some people love it. Some people find it keeps them on track. Other people, it's really laborious. And I'll be honest, I don't track my food now at all. But what it can sometimes do for you is allow you to see maybe whether foods are actually, quote unquote, as you call them, fattening foods or bad foods. And it happened the other day with one of the ladies who said she'd been following Weight Watchers for a while. She'd always avoid cheese. So she'd have like banana sandwich or something like that, something quite simple because bananas were fine. But then when she realised that she was just craving cheese then, and when you're craving something, you're more likely to have it. Hey Marie, when you're craving something, you're more likely to give into it and have it, right? Human nature. But then she realised that actually the calories in cheese versus the banana weren't even that different given how much cheese she would need. Plus she would get protein at the meal, and she'd feel satisfied then, which then impacts her next meal. So rather than saying I've had cheese, I've failed, it became I've had cheese, that's actually okay, and I've filled a craving, I'm now satisfied. And when you're satisfied, when you're physiologically sound in terms of your hunger, in terms of your relationship with food, it becomes a lot easier to stick to, because why would you stop? Why would you have the end date? Now, I'm not saying all of this has to be really easy. There will be times where you have to make compromises, change habits. But the idea is that when you look at the facts, and you don't want to get anything factually wrong, really. Factually wrong in terms of how many calories are in a certain foods, and you've labelled that food as bad, or whether that food is a sin or whatever you call it. There's actually no good or bad foods in isolation, because everything has its own goodness in its own right. There's a time and a place for a cream tea. There really is. It's like Anna, one of the ladies, she's 2 months in, she's going on holiday, and she was like, she's lost a few stone, and she's like, do I eat? I don't know what I do now. And this is an important part. So we went over this because It's an important part because often we're just taught how to lose weight, but not actually maintain it. Like, what do we do now? Do we go crazy? Do I not have it? Do I try and restrict? Like, it's like, if you think about it, how many cream teas are you actually going to need to be happily satisfied? You know, once you've kind of had one, you're like, oh, I'm done. But it's also the fact you've given yourself permission to have one also makes you feel like, you know, I'm satisfied with one. So, enough of my rambling today. I just want you to challenge whether certain foods really are quote unquote bad, fattening. And if you're in that space, sometimes actually tracking it, getting some facts in it is quite good. You know, people often think about, butter's bad or low-fat yogurt's full of sugar. That's not always the case. There's lots of examples like that. So just challenge everything when you hear things, because sometimes, remember, a belief is something that we hear or is so strong that our behaviour conforms to it, almost subconsciously. So we just have to be careful that when we're rewiring our habits, that we don't fall into doing behaviours based on beliefs that are based on a feeling at that time that we just conform to. It's like, people can eat a certain way based on someone they lived with when they were younger, based on what their best friend at school used to say or do. And we can completely have a belief around food which might not be right for us. Anyway, enough of me rambling. I've gone past Specsavers today. My glasses are on my head, hence I couldn't see. Don't tell Specsavers. So, off to our sessions now. Morning Pilates, Tai Chi. Also have a one-to-one this morning as well. So, exciting stuff. I'm about to hit the Costa sign. Exciting stuff. Plus, our brand new Ladies Only Devices studio is opening in November. Exciting news. So that'll be in the centre, near Costa as well. I have a habit of being near Costa. We're following you, Costa. So, if you want any details on our 28-day kickstart from starting in November, send me a message and I'll get you the details. Take care and speak soon. Bye-bye.